Should you trade Joe Mixon in your fantasy football league? That's the questions of the day. Now, here's the deal. Let's lay everything out on the line for Joe Mixon. Mixon's performance, I would say, it's clearly not his fault. He's been doing really well. He's still a guy that managed to get a lot of yards after contact. He's been a guy that's still good at finding the holes, getting those chunk plays. The problem is, he's getting tackled 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage multiple times per game. Not because he's dancing around or going side to side, but because this offensive line has been so brutal for this Cincinnati Bengals team. By the time Joe Burrow turns around and hands him the football off, he's tackled. You get to the 1st and goal at the 1, at the 2, at the 3, whatever. The Bengals try to run the football. They don't have a prayer. He gets knocked back 3-4 yards every time. The Bengals offensive line is the #1 reason Joe Mixon is struggling this season. And if they get the offensive line together, he does improve substantially. All that being said, he's an early 2nd round pick. And it's still early in the season. A lot of people are going to have that in their mind, especially the people that drafted him. You want to try to get that in return. I don't even know if you can get a 3rd round pick in return type of player for Joe Mixon right now. To me, his value is so low right now. If anything, you're not trying to trade away Joe Mixon. You're trying to trade for Joe Mixon because it can't get any worse than this. I think if you have Joe Mixon, you ride it out. You ride it out and understand things literally cannot get possibly worse in Cincinnati. The offensive line, if it gets any worse than this, they're just going to stand there and not move. I mean, I don't know if it could get any worse than it is right now. It might be better if they stand there and don't move. But they still have a favorable schedule throughout the rest of the season. They're going to play, they got the NFL or the NFC East. They got the Dolphins, the Texans, who have struggled decently against the run this season as well. So there's still a lot of favorable matchups for Joe Mixon. And this is a guy that last year really took off in the second half of the season. Again, when the Bengals offensive line started to slightly improve and the Bengals became more committed to running the football. They're committed now to run the football. The problem is, they just understand they are struggling mightily to do so, even as much as they want to try to establish it. They're just getting nothing of it. And Joe Burrow is doing a great job of getting this team down the field, which is something that is a big plus this year compared to last year for Joe Mixon. Last year, this Bengals offense didn't have a clue. This year, at least if this offensive line starts to improve and they get better, Joe Burrow's been taking his team up and down the field. There's going to be a lot more touchdown opportunities for Joe Mixon this year than there was last year. If you're holding on to Joe Mixon, at this point, you got to, unless, again, somebody's crazy enough to give you a 2nd round overall, 2nd round worthy pick, a number RB1, which is probably not going to happen. I think you ride it out. And if anything, if you don't have him, you try to target this guy. That's our thoughts on Joe Mixon. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.